Quick disclaimer before we begin. Éimi has suffered from ovarian cancer in the past, and this is your warning disclaimer to let anyone know who this might be a trigger for them. This story, Éimi's story, is an inspiring one, and she's an incredibly uplifting person, so charismatic and has an infectious personality. So I hope you all enjoy. I've bleeped out any wee sweary words. Not by myself, from Éimi. That's you, Graston. Potty mouth. Right. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Éimi the Brave.
Obviously, I had the cancer in the past. So I was
It is
19,
in the past. Good.
got the
Good.
cancer.
Good though.
That's a drama story. We'll not go into that. So the
No.
ovarian cancer that happened, got my ovaries out, started my menopause. Great joys.
Oh wow.
Still haven't finished my menopause. When will it end?
Oh honey.
And
That's something that I never knew. I had no idea about. I really didn't have any idea that
really,
that would
oh
happen to you. No.
yeah. Well, it's kind of like how normal people, when you're like 50 or something, and you start your menopause, obviously you get like, it's a slow decline of your estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of, it's like a weird menopause when you have your ovaries taken out because it's like all of it's gone at once. So you're just
Wow.
like, what's happening? Because I just remember like waking up from my operation, and then obviously they told me, and that was horrible. But you're alive. You have to think of the
Of
positive
course.
things. But they were like, oh, you'll start your hot flushes like any time, and I was like, all right, I'm sure it'll take ages. And then like later that day, I was like, I've never felt so hot in my life. So
Really?
yeah, I
That
was like, what's
quickly?
going on? Yeah, it was
Wow.
the same day. I was like,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
a drama.
So I'm
But
guessing that takes some getting used to, and you must have to
yeah,
compromise
I mean,
quite a
it
lot.
does. Like, it affects things that you don't know, because, like, I remember having a meeting with, we kind of pushed the menopause and stuff aside while I was having chemo and stuff because it just wasn't important by comparison.
No, it
But
wasn't. No.
afterwards,
Yeah.
exactly, because you're like, well, I'm trying to live, so can we worry
So
about that?
let's. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I went to like a meeting with a doctor that was like a specialist in menopause, and he was like, right, here's all the things that can happen. You're worried about your heart, your bone density and stuff like we've spoken about before. But even just like down to the fact that he's like, your voice might get lower, your voice might change a lot, and I'm a singer, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be an alto, and like, I was like, I'm not prepared for the harmonies. Um, so I was like, what am I gonna do? So it's just bizarre how that can just all affect you. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when the cancer was all done and stuff, it sounds a bit cheesy, but it leaves you with this kind of moment that you get in the movies where you're like, am I living this life that I want to? I was
Mhm.
studying business, which is all right, but it wasn't. It just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Not a
Um,
passion.
no, not really. It was all right. I met my friends, so I don't regret it.
Hmm.
But what happened there is actually Pantheon, and a few people changed my life at that point because they did Urinetown, the musical, and I was like, this sounds daft. I'm up for this, and it was my sort of like main coming back after cancer musical. I'd
Yeah.
done Grease, and I'd been in the chorus, but I was still not great. I wasn't at full health. So anyway, I did
I'm
Urinetown.
sure you were wonderful. It was a very small cast. They would not have put you on that stage if you were not worth your
It was
salt, honey.
such a fun musical. It's always going to be my favourite, kind of who holds that place
I
in
came
my
to see it, and honestly,
heart.
there was not a bad apple. The whole casting, the production, the choreography, the comedy. I
Oh,
like
it was such a
the
fun.
direction. It was a little bit
Yeah,
more like cartoony Jetsons feel. It was
mm,
just amazing. I loved it, the whole
yeah.
production, and
It's just, it's not really a serious
but
show. It was kind of the
it's a
perfect thing to
different
have on.
experience that you were going through at the time. So
Yeah,
it's
and
funny
I
looking
needed it,
back.
and I needed that sort of family connection. But that was the first show
Yeah,
that I got like a lead part in. So like obviously I'd played like, cause I do comedy stuff, it tends to be your wee best pal, the wee nut job in the back or whatever, which is fine. But this one is obviously, it's a funny role that leads it. So I got the opportunity to play Hope, and that was great, and it's such a great time. But the person for me that changed all that was Tree Cumming. Obviously, the whole production
yeah.
team that put me in it was great, and I
He's
really thank
so
them.
supportive.
Yeah, so
He's
supportive.
just
I thank them
amazing.
for giving me that chance. But the reason why I say Tree was so important is she was the director, and she at the time was like, you need to do this. Like, I can see that you want this, and you're like thriving, you're enjoying it up on stage, and I think you should just apply it to musical theatre. Like, what harm can come from doing that? You like, I think you're ready. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm ready. I mean, she literally said to me, she was like, I was like, I'm not doing RCS. I'm not getting any money. And I remember she said to me at the time, she was like, oh, if you like, I'll give you some money towards like applying, like, because you know it costs money for UCAS and stuff. And I was like, what? Like, she's like, yeah, literally, I'll
Wow.
pay you like your audition fee for you. And I was like, oh, don't be daft. I know. Lovely.
But the
So
fact she said that must have.
I know. I was like, whoa, she
Well,
really
she
believes
believes
in
in
me.
me that much to offer something like that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that was huge for me. So
Yeah.
I applied for a few places. Didn't apply for RCS. Didn't feel that bold in myself. But I applied for New College Lanarkshire and a few other places. And I got into London School as well, but I couldn't afford to go there. So I got into
In there.
NCLAN, and
Oh yeah.
you know that was a crazy audition because they were like right they were like sing two contrasting songs right as you do at auditions, and
Yes.
I was like right, so I sing legit, so I was like, so I'll do Wishing Your Summer Here Again, so it's all like operatic and
Oh,
that's but they
classic.
said a classic. But they were like, "Can you do a contrasting song?" And I chose "Dead Girl Walking" from Heathers. I don't know it,
Yes, I love
but
the Heather's musical. It's brilliant
it's
music.
like rocky, poppy stuff,
Yeah.
which I couldn't sing at all at the time. So I sang both of them in the same voice. I was like, "Love this dead girl walking." They were like, it's meant to be a rock song." Like, fine, fine. And I'm like this 24-year-old, size 22 girl, like never danced really except a little bit of Amdram. And honestly, the fact that they took me on was insane. And they're just that kind of place that they do that. They like individual people and they want to see, can we work with you and stuff. So that was nice. And because of Tree and because of NCLAN, I got to do my 3 years. I finished my degree, and they helped me get an agent. It's just been a whirlwind. Like,
Yeah.
it was a hard step,
Mhm.
but it changed my life for the better, kind of thing. Which is why I know what you're doing is good, because if it feels scary, it's almost always the right thing to do. You know what
Oh
I
hey.
mean?
That's another lovely little word of wisdom there, honey. That's perfect.
I'm so wise.
So wise.
Cancer wiseness, no. Oh,
I'm cutting that. That's not gonna. You're too funny, honestly. All right, okay, sweetheart. I'm so glad that you did want to speak about that. That was so important.
of course,
I
it
did.
meant a
I
lot.
did ask in my kind of ramblings, but I did ramble, and I think it got lost in that.
I love a good
So,
Lorna ramble.
oh, oh God, honestly, like it's terrible. But I'm gonna, I'll edit that so that it does match up because that was just perfect. You're so inspiring, and you've got such a story to tell. When's the book coming out?
Aye, very good,
Honestly,
very good.
no, I'm serious. Like you need to
My
do
book should
something
be
with it.
called, if I ever brought out a book, it'd be called Diseases with a C, right? Because cancer, Crohn's. You can see why I was myself during this lockdown. I was like, that begins with C.
Oh.
It begins with C. I might get it.
Oh,
It
honey.
seems to be a trend.
Yeah, weird
Yeah.
as well. Like, see with my hyperactive thyroid, and
Okay.
so it's so complicated, right? So with my normal hyperactive thyroid, I've got to keep on top of that to keep away the Graves' disease. Do you know what I mean?
The name of that, by the way, they couldn't have named that any more terrifying. Graves' disease.
Graves' disease. I know, because that's why my eyes are slightly bulging now and a little bit
Oh,
sunken. It affects your
it's
eyes.
funny you should say that because that's the only thing I've ever known about it actually until you
Mm,
spoke of it and I had to look it up because I was like, I don't know anything about this except about the eyes. I was
yeah,
like,
it's
what
more
is it
common than you
actually?
think. It's a
Yeah,
lot more common than you think. There's a woman at the shop that's got it. We talk about it a
but
lot.
she's got nice big pretty Disney eyes. What was it,
It's a
Tim?
blessing and a curse. I'm in the middle of editing,
Hmm.
so it's just constantly busy, and it's a wonderful time.
It's going to be the comeback of 2020. I'm telling
Well,
you.
no, that's not
Like,
the point. I want everybody to come back.
hmm.
That's the point,
I
you know.
love that. That needs to be a tag. Everyone tag. Hashtag 2020. I think we have a similar bond of like you sometimes need to go through some really horrible in your life to understand who you are, and
Yeah,
that actually just being that person to the world is nowhere near as scary as some of the other stuff that you could go through.
I know.
It's you wish you'd learned it sooner. Like it's a shame that you need to go
Yeah.
through life a bit blind sometimes. It's like
Mhm.
you look back. I mean, you're probably the same. I look back to the person we were probably at Footloose, right? I look back to that person. It's like, it's part of me and it helped me become who I am. But I don't even recognize that person. I'm like
I
this
know.
party animal nut job that
I
didn't
know.
care about anything but getting out, going to get drunk and having a good
Well,
time.
listen, I've been doing a lot of that kind of thinking, and
Yeah.
that girl in the past, I've been giving her a lot. I've been giving her a hard time, but she
Yeah.
wasn't that bad, and she was a
No,
lot braver than me.
look, she was that girl in the past was a girl that we all fell in love with back then. And I know you
Oh
give
no,
no, but
listen,
it's
come
true.
on.
Give yourself a hard time for some of the things that happened back then. But I like Lorna then, and I like Lorna now for different reasons.
Yeah, thanks.
It's there's not a case of like, oh, I'm better now. You're just different now,
Yeah, totally.
and you shouldn't give your old self a hard time at all because she
Yeah,
needs
I know.
you.
Well, that's it. I'm starting to give her some credit.
Yeah.
So that's it. Well, listen, it's been lovely talking to you today, Amy. You're
No worries.
brightened my day, and you've set the tone for the rest of my interviews.
Right, this interview
Honestly.
never really happened. I forgot to tell you that's what happened just before this call, right? I've got my phone, I put it in my back pocket in my trousers, and I went to go for a quick pee. So I pulled my trousers down and it just fell into the toilet and I was like and then like had to like stick my hand down and like dry it and I was like, oh my god, it's not working. It's not working. Oh, and it just suddenly
Oh
started
no.
working. I was looking for rice. I was like, I'm gonna put it in rice. Oh, it was horrible. And it
Oh
just went,
wow. Honestly, I've done that before. I've done that before, but
I've never done
his phones
oh,
go overboard. He's a nightmare. He's not allowed a dear phone. He's
over
got a Nokia 3310. Genuinely.
that's what we all need in our life.
But here he's had it for a year now, so it's
Hey,
like
they
that kind
they
of thing.
last for ages. Like that will
It's a
never
wee
break.
reliable toaster. A wee brave little toaster.
I love that film.
I
I love
know.
that film. I'm gonna go watch that.
I know we do.